Hi friends, it's me, Nella. This is the last video I'm filming here because I'm moving to Flushing. Now, some of you might not know this, but I've lived in Rego Park, Queens for the last 10 years. There was a brief time where I lived in Brooklyn, but it just didn't stick. I like Queens. It's a good borough. I mean, certain people born here notwithstanding. But hey, if we were our own city, we would be the 5th most populous in the entire United States. We're one of the most linguistically diverse places on Earth, as well as one of the most ethnically diverse places in the United States. But if you're not from New York City, you might be wondering, what's a borough? You're probably thinking I am only posing this question rhetorically, but I honestly do get asked this question a lot. Okay, so before there were boroughs, there were just counties. The County of New York, Westchester County, Kings County, Queens County, and Richmond County. What we think of as New York City was just Manhattan, and in the 1890s, Manhattan was the most populated city in America, followed by Chicago, Philadelphia, and Brooklyn. That's right, in the 1890s, Brooklyn was the 4th most populated city in America. Look at you, Brooklyn. Now, the 5 boroughs came into existence with the creation of the City of Greater New York in 1898, when New York County, Kings County, Queens County, and Richmond County were consolidated within one municipal government under a new city charter. Now, I'm sure you're wondering why there are 5 boroughs when I've only listed 4 counties, and it all comes down to the Bronx. Manhattan had been annexing areas of Westchester County in 1874 and 1895, and during the consolidation, this northern New York County area was organized as the Borough of the Bronx, though it was still considered part of New York County. Now, it wasn't until 1914 that Bronx County was created so that each borough could be coterminous with its own county. So in conclusion, the Borough of the Bronx existed before Bronx County. Got it? Good. Now, Queens is New York City's largest borough at 108 square miles, but it used to be even larger at 380 square miles. You see, Queens County used to include Hempstead, Northern Hempstead, and Oyster Bay. But when Western Queens incorporated as a borough, that western part of Queens split off to become Nassau County in 1899. Sure, have your own county, see if I care. So, in conclusion, the greater city of New York has 5 boroughs, and these boroughs also moonlight as counties within New York State. But, interestingly enough, boroughs like Brooklyn and Staten Island are called Kings County and Richmond County, respectively, because those are the original county names. Why did this happen? Because of municipal mismanagement and political corruption. I mean, sure, there's more to it than that, but that was a big part of it. Oh, but don't worry, areas of Brooklyn and Flushing were adamant that consolidation would be bad for them because, you see, it would destroy their regional identity, that all that would be washed away by the influx of ethnic and racial minorities, and that they would forever be under the shadow of Manhattan's ambitions. Oh yeah, NIMBYism has always been with us. Anyway, Queens! Now, Queens was super underdeveloped, which means that city planners and other developers saw endless possibilities. You had pre-existing towns like Flushing, Newtown, and Astoria, originally called Hallett's Cove, but they renamed themselves Astoria because they wanted to flatter John Jacob Astor in the hopes that he would invest in their town, which never try to flatter a multimillionaire. He's never gonna love you. But the rest of Queens was just farmland. In fact, Queens was one of America's biggest produce producers throughout the 19th century. But that's also why Queens is a little infamous for our street numbering scheme. You see, city planners tried to slap a grid down on Queens. I mean, New York, we love a grid. We go mad for grids. We've been all about grids since like the 1812s. Oh my lord, is that orthogonal planning? I mean, no offense, Boston, but your streets are a joke. Hey, Philly! I like your grid, kid. Named streets got changed to numbered ones. For example, Lowry Street in Sunnyside became 40th Street. But as the borough was developed and more numbered streets were needed between already existing numbered streets, we had to get a little creative. Now, Forgotten New York has a wonderful blog post about the 60ths in Maspeth. That's the square of roadways where you can find 60th Place, 60th Avenue, 60th Road, 60th Drive, 60th Court, and 60th Lane, and some of them even intersect each other. Regardless, by 1908, we had a brand spanking new street and house numbering system that was unique to the borough of Queens. Okay, so how it's supposed to work is that the first number of the hyphenated address is supposed to refer to the cross street. For example, 60-32 82nd Street tells you that 60th is the cross street. But if that 60th is a place, an avenue, a road, a drive, a court, or a lane is anyone's game. Okay, well, technically, the trick is that streets are supposed to go north-south and avenues are supposed to go east-west. Which is the exact opposite of how it works in Manhattan, so have fun with that! So if you need a new designation for a street with the same number, you use place or lane. You use road or drive for avenues of the same number. Hope you have a good sense of direction. Look, I don't make the rules, I just live here. Now that I have contextualized Queens, Rego Park, it's a place. So, before I move to Flushing, here it is. 3 things I find interesting about Rego Park. So, New York City loves making abbreviations of neighborhoods a thing. Like it's hip. Like all the kids are doing it. Soho is for south of Houston. Tribeca is triangle below Canal Street. Dumbo is for down under the Manhattan Bridge overpass. Someone really spent way too much time thinking that one up. People even tried to make Dubro happen for downtown Brooklyn and just, no. But Rego Park is special. Before the 1920s, this area was primarily used by Chinese farmers to grow vegetables for Chinatown. However, in the 1920s, the farms were bought up and this area was developed. 525 8-room Tudor-style houses, Art Deco-style stores, and several apartment buildings were built between the years of 1923 and 1928. And the Real Good Construction Company named the area after their advertising slogan, Real Good Homes. Get it? Real good? Rego? Yeah, that's it. That's the story. Ooh, bonus! We were also home to America's largest Howard Johnson restaurant. It opened in 1940 and could seat 1,000 people, so it really put us on the map. In October 1918 of World War I, the 77th Division was isolated by German forces in the Argonne Forest. The soldiers were mostly from New York City, and the 77th was known as the Liberty Division due to their Statue of Liberty patch. For 6 days, the 77th Division and the American units attempting to extricate them suffered heavy losses. Runners either became lost or ran into German patrols, so carrier pigeons became the only method of communicating with headquarters. World War I's most famous pigeon, Cher Ami, was a veteran of Verdun and would survive being shot in the breast and losing an eye and a leg to deliver the following message from the 77th. We are along the road parallel 276.4. Our artillery is dropping a barrage directly on us. For heaven's sake, stop it! Of the roughly 554 men, only 194 men were rescued, the rest either killed or captured. The survivors would be dubbed the Lost Battalion, even though they personally would have preferred being called the Beleaguered Battalion because, let's be real, they were never really lost in the first place. They were just pinned down by the Germans and couldn't get out, but Lost Battalion is what stuck. Cher Ami would appear in the credits of the silent movie The Lost Battalion, which you can still find online at the Library of Congress, and retired to a U.S. Army old pigeon home where they died June 1919 at only a year old. They were taxidermied and can be found in the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History. Although, dear Smithsonian, please determine once and for all if Cher Ami was a boy or girl pigeon, because everyone insists that the taxidermist discovered that the pigeon was a girl actually, but your website uses he pronouns, and I've been waiting for a resolution to this comment since March 2020. Which brings us to the 1930s and the Works Progress Administration, or WPA. From 1938 to 1939, the WPA funded building this Art Moderne building in Rego Park for the Queen's Veterans of Foreign Wars and the American Legion, and it was named in honor of the Lost Battalion. This building was placed under NYC Parks Department jurisdiction in 1960 and serves today as a recreation center. And I would have taken you inside to show you the 2 WPA-era murals in the basketball court, but the building is still closed to the public due to COVID. So I've borrowed these photos from the Rego Forest Preservation Council's website, so thanks. Rego Park has had a strong Jewish community since 1945. In fact, Art Spiegelman, the creator of the graphic novel Mouse, grew up in Rego Park. But starting in the 70s and continuing through the 90s, a very specific Jewish ethnic community moved into Forest Hills and then into Rego Park. I did try to practice these pronunciations. I'm sorry. Bukharian Jews have a distinct cultural identity and originate from the Emirate of Bukhara, which was formerly a part of the Persian Empire, and that once stretched over swaths of modern-day Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Turkmenistan. Anyway, after a very long and very interesting history, the Soviet Union happened, and then the Soviet Union was no longer a thing, and the Bukharian Jewish community left. The largest Bukharian Jewish community is in Israel, with Forest Hills and Rego Park the second largest at an estimated 50,000 people, which is why parts have been called Bukharian Broadway. And I can't recommend the food enough. Like, the plov is delicious. It's like a pilaf. And then they make these samsas, which are like their version of the samosa. And they have manti, which is like a soup dumpling. And then they do this like spicy carrot slaw that's really similar to what you find in Korean cooking. Bukharian cuisine is just this like giant crossroads of Central Asian and Jewish cooking, and it's all been shaped by this long history along the Silk Road. It's so good. Super recommend. I love immigrants. So figuring out how to end this video is a little tricky because thanks to the age of COVID, my leaving Rego Park feels more like a whimper. And there's just a lot of stuff that I wanted to do this year that I'm just not going to be able to. And it's not like Rego Park's going anywhere. I'm not going to be that far. I'm only going to Flushing. But even then, a lot has changed in the 10 years I've been here, and I really don't know how else it's going to change, especially with everything that's happened this year. So it feels kind of weird, but this is also what just happens in New York City. I already packed the book, so, and I don't know which box it's in, or I would have checked who said it and when it was said and all that stuff, because I know I have it bookmarked in that book. But there's a quote from the Historical Atlas of New York City that I've always sort of thought about a lot, but recently has felt particularly true, which is the oldest thing in New York is yesterday's newspapers. And that is just hashtag 2020 big mood to me all over. Anyway, I wanted to make this video so I would have the chance to say, it's been real good, Rego Park. As ever, a thank you to my Patreon earlenders. Spectral Ghost, Jason Lucas, John Smith, Allison J, Avi Finkel, Johan Gustafson, Chandra, William Christopher, Steve Harper, and Xanthan Pink. Postcards! It's been a while, so now I have, again, a little backlog. But that's okay. I'd rather have a backlog than have nothing. What I'm gonna do right now is the October postcards, and hopefully, next month I'll do all the November postcards, and then the December postcards, and then maybe I'll finally be caught up. No promises. First off, I received a letter from someone who is just addressed as TB on the letter. This was sent October 15th from Houston, Texas. They made me something called a lithophane. It's this little piece of plastic. And, ooh, it's really apparent. You know, the funny thing is, from this edge, it's really apparent what it does. It's actually super cool. I'll try to get, like, a picture of what it actually looks like. It's really cool, though. It's actually shocking how real it looks when you have a bright enough light. So this is a very cool gift. Thank you so much. I will definitely let you know if there are other pictures I would like to have. A lithophane? No. Lithophone? Lithophane? I wish I could read your handwriting. I'm so sorry. But thank you for the gift. It's very cool. Next up, we have a postcard dated October 6th. It is a postcard of Connecticut. I probably shouldn't get too close to because unfortunately, because I'm all alone, I had to do autofocus. I wasn't sure how to do manual focus without having my face here. So this is a map of Connecticut. Hi, Nella. I've sent you a postcard before. I'm from Houston. Oh, I'm sorry, Houston. You see, in New York, it's Houston Street. So my instinct when I see Houston is to say Houston, and I apologize to the entirety of Texas. It's just how we do things here in the greater city of New York. I like sending letters and postcards to people, but I don't have many friends or anything. I'm not a pen pal person. I just wanted to send you a card. Again. I hope you and your partner marry soon. Best wishes. Thank you so much. I love the postcard. Thank you for sending it again. Feel free to send me any postcard anytime. I will always give it a read when I actually create a video with which I can then read postcards out loud on. This next one is from the 15th. It is, it's a very spoopy. It's like this cutout of like this historic house and like a cross-shaped cutout in stone. I feel like it's like very Knives Out. Hope this card finds you well in these unusual times, or at least well under the circumstances. There is no hidden meaning to the selection of this card. It just felt sufficiently spooky for October. It is delightfully spooky for October. Thank you very much. Thank you for all the hard work on your videos. I usually begin saying, is this something I'd be very interested in? The answer is always yes. Wishing you the best, C. So this is a photo of the Tampa Gasparilla Parade. Very piratical. The caption on the back reads, "Arr, matey! Gasparilla is a holiday that is unique to Tampa. What used to be a one-day event is now more than a month long, including an invasion when the pirates take over the city of Tampa. Art festival, marathon, and concert." I've never heard of this thing. This sounds like exactly up my alley. Well, once travel's safe again, I'm obviously gonna have to visit Tampa now. Hi, Nella. In honor of the Oyster Pirates, I greet you in the name of all Tampa Bay Buccaneers, not the sports balled ones. Say hello to fall for us. We don't have that here. And this letter is from Denise and Bernard. Thank you so much for the card. Now I really want to visit Tampa. So our next card is from the 19th of October from Rochester, New York. It is from the Pike Street Press, letterpress design studio and gallery of Seattle. So obviously you picked this up in your travels. Thank you for explaining things on your YouTube channel. Your videos have brightened many a dark day. R from Rochester. Well, I'm glad they could brighten your day. I love a good printing press. There's actually one in Lancaster that I really like. That's near the Lancaster Central Market, and every time I go there, I just like popping in and looking at all the printing press stuff, and this is really cute. I like this card. Thank you. So here we have a card, Switzerland, of the Alpine Post Motor Coaches. Got your good vintage postcard look on it. Hello, Nella. I hope you like this card from Switzerland. I'm French-Canadian, but I studied a year abroad in Switzerland in the 2000s. I love your videos and your podcast, and I don't even like maps or the apocalypse that much. Smiley face. But you make everything sound fascinating, from one nerdy gal to another. Ooh, and then there appears to be writing in French. I'm not going to do this to the French language and try to pronounce this, but I will try to translate it later so then I know what you're saying. But I'm sure it is a lovely sentiment. Thanks for the great content, and it's dated October 22nd. So here we have, a very old town. Possibly like the 1880s? Well, it's from the Andover Historical Society. It doesn't give any information of when this picture was taken, which breaks my heart a little. I'm gonna have to dig into this one. Anyway, it reads, "Hi, Nella. Greetings from a small town on New York's southern tier. We're pretty close to Hornell, which used to be a railway titan, but is now known for giving the world Bill Pullman." Well, that's delightful. You should be very proud of giving the world Bill Pullman. Thanks so much for all of the super entertaining, super educational videos you put out. I always know I'm going to be a smarter person when they're over. But thank you, Devin. And last, but not least, a bit of historical, vagrant hobo art. It's Manet. French, The Rag Picker, 1865 to 1870. Oil on canvas. Well, it appears to be from Athens, Tennessee. It was sent on the 27th of October, and it reads, "Thank you for your great story of Tobit. God bless, Debbie." But that's it for the October postcards. Next time, I shall be working my way through the November postcards. If you would like to send me a postcard to be read on my series, please feel free to send it at the address in the comments below. And until then, you can support me on Patreon. I have a podcast called the Apocalypse Book Club. And on that note, until next time.